Thank you, Junior, for that song service. And again, it is good to have each of you here this morning, especially those that are visiting with us, and we have several this morning. We want you to know that you are our honored guest. And once again, hope that you can stay with us, not just so we can visit with you, but we'd like for you to share a meal with us. As was mentioned, we do this every first Sunday of the month, and there's plenty of over there, so we invite you to stay if we can. I will say this, Kenny mentioned getting to know the Nances, and we welcome them to the family here. He mentioned getting to know them at the meal today. They're not going to be able to stay today. They have a prior commitment. They said that it was twice now they've missed out on the meal. They were here first Sunday of last month, so 3 strikes and you're out, okay? So next month, y'all got to be here for the meal. That will also be our homecoming weekend. I'll go ahead and mention that, the first weekend in October. I will have the calendars out. I apologize for not having those out. It's been a crazy week. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in just a moment here. But I'll have calendars and service assignments and also a bulletin, Lord willing, Wednesday, and then a bulletin starting again next Sunday. For the benefit of those who are visiting with us, it was mentioned in the prayer, my in-laws, my wife Kathy's parents, live in South Louisiana, and they took the brunt of the storm. Kathy was born and raised there. That is her home. And so this week, the first part of this week, we put the word out, gathering up supplies. And so Wednesday, her brother drove down from Chattanooga, and he and Rylan and I left Wednesday morning, and we headed down there. We were able to get down there without any incident. I just want to give you a little short report of what we did while we were down there, show you some pictures and video. I know most of you have been through storms here. Those of you that live here, you remember Ivan and other storms. I won't bore you with a whole lot of stuff, but I just want to show you kind of what they're facing down there. The bad thing that's going on right now is, I think today and tomorrow, they are under a heat advisory, heat indices 105 to 110. Power's completely out, 100% in the parish down there, and in many places. I'll share some of the statistics with you here in just a moment. But 2 things very quickly. Number 1, please continue to keep them in prayer. The church down there, everyone in that area, it's going to be a long, long recovery. I don't know what you're seeing on the news reports. Again, we've been out of the loop. No power, cell phone service is spotty down there. But just a little brief report here. This is the area where they live there in Louisiana. I'll zoom in here in just a second. They are down in what's known as the heart of Cajun country. They are in Terrebonne Parish, for any of you that are familiar with that area down there. They live outside the city of Houma, which the Houma-Terrebonne area is over 100,000 people, so it's a large area. You don't hear a lot about them in the news, though. Everything seems to be focused on New Orleans. I know things are bad in New Orleans, but things are much worse in Houma and Berg. The neighborhood that they live in is an area called Berg, which is down the bayou is the term that they use down there. As you can see, not very far from the coast, and even though this looks like land there, it's really not. It's marshy, swamp type area, so the storm did not dissipate quickly when it crossed over that, so they took the full brunt of that storm. This is a shot that I took during the storm. This blue circle here is where Kathy's parents live, and you can see this is the eye right there. So they got the full effect of the storm there. They were in the worst path, and then of course everything to their west got it bad too, but we all know the northeast side of the storm is always the worst. I want to thank you. I know I put it out on the group me, but we put the word out. We decided that we were going to try to get down there as quick as we could to help them out. So we put the word out Tuesday. Within 6 hours, and I'm going to brag on y'all here, okay? Within 6 hours, y'all had the back of my truck loaded. You had Kenny's trailer loaded with water. We took down about 30 cases of water. We took down some gas. Her parents do have a generator. Fuel is still extremely hard to come by. It is starting to come into the area, but literally lines are a mile or more longer. People are waiting 6-7 hours in line to get gas. The folks at the end of the line, of course, aren't getting any because the stations are running out. Some of the gas stations were destroyed. You'll see that in the video that I'll show here in just a moment. So gas is hard to come by. With the heat and everything, it's going to be miserable for those people down there for a long time. But you guys dug deep. You were very generous. So in addition to all these supplies, you also donated $1,300 in cash, which we took down and gave to her parents to distribute to those in need. The reason we asked for some cash donations is because obviously power's out, ATMs aren't working, banks are closed. The stores that are able to open that have generator power are taking cash only, so they will be able to use that to distribute to the church members down there until these services start coming back up. But I want to say how much we appreciate, and her parents told me many times to tell you how much they appreciate you, they appreciate your generosity, they love you, and it was just such an amazing thing that y'all did to help them out. And we appreciate the love and compassion that you showed for them in everything that you gave. And those of you who donated, you know who you are, you know what you donated. Every single item was appreciated and was needed. The water is still not on. Running water is not going down there, so people can't. I mean, the things we take for granted, y'all, just this morning I noticed, getting ready, getting my food ready to bring over, just being able to go turn the sink on and have water. They can't flush the toilets, they can't wash clothes, they can't do anything. Now, they do have water. We brought plenty of bottled water. We bought those 2 5-gallon containers on the back there that have some spigots on them so they can walk, but there are a lot of people down there that don't have any water, any running water at all. The National Guard did get down. I will say this too, I was kind of impressed. We got down and started distributing this stuff before any of the government agencies did. We beat them by a day. Thursday they were setting up, handing out ice and water, and yesterday they were supposed to be driving through the neighborhoods with a truck dropping off MREs. But we beat them down there, thanks to you. So when we got down there, this is Kathy's house that she grew up in. That's her dad and her brother. They got up on the roof. Oh, we took tarps as well. Y'all donated the tarps. We appreciate that. They got up there and got the roof patched up. We think we've got everything covered where it was leaking. They did have some roof damage, some leaks in the house, but they were much more fortunate than so many others down there. They'll need a new roof at some point, but we think we've got them all patched up to where the house won't leak. Then after that, we drove down to the church building where they attend. This is the South Terrebonne Church of Christ, which is even further down the bayou than her parents are. They took even more of the brunt of the storm. The building fared very well. There wasn't much damage. I've got a couple of pictures there, but there's tree limbs down. There was a part of someone's roof in the parking lot. We looked around. We didn't see any missing parts, so we have no idea where the roof came from. That's how far debris was flying and coming in and everything. But the building fared very well. There was just a little water damage. Some water came in there on the inside. They had some ceiling tiles down there on that end. But other than that, the church building did very well. So they should be able to, as soon as they can get some either generators or power back there, be able to start meeting. I do know that there is a truck from the Churches of Christ Disaster Relief that is scheduled to be there this Friday, parking at the church building there and starting to distribute some supplies from the disaster relief base out of Nashville. So we're thankful that the church building is in a state where they will be able to do that and help people. This is a picture of Kathy's cousin's house. They lost their entire roof. Rain came down, everything in their house was ruined. We helped them move some of the furniture and things out. In fact, Kathy's cousin's husband had to, after the storm, get up on the roof and build a peak so that he could have something to attach the tarp to, because everything was gone. But I tell you, just the attitude down there, we brought them some of the supplies that we brought, and Kathy's cousin was like, well, we've got this, so we don't need it. You take it back and give it to somebody that does. So people are banding together, they're pulling together, they're not being greedy for the most part, only taking what they need and making sure that others get what they need as well. This is a video. It's about 5 minutes long. I'll try to narrate through it and again, try not to bore you, but just show you some of the destruction down there. Again, I know that y'all have seen this, you've experienced it yourselves. Kathy's dad was born and raised down there. He's lived his whole life there. He commented several times that with all the storms they've been through, they went through Andrew, they went through Katrina, they went through Gustav, Wilma, Rita, many, many others. He said he's never seen it this bad down there in that area. So I just want to share this with, there's no sound, but just notice of course, the trees down, the power lines. I'll share this information while you're looking here. This was information that I got from Entergy, which is the main power supplier down there. In the area that was affected, there were 24,000 308 distribution poles that were damaged or destroyed, 29,084 spans of wire down, and 5,742 failed transformers. That's in the entire area down there that Entergy services. In Terrebonne Parish, there were 27,666 people without power, which is 100% of their customers down there. 1,075 poles broken, and you'll see lots of those broken poles on the video there. 879 spans of wire down, 1,270 damaged transformers. The estimated date of restoration is September 29th. Now, we don't know if that means the beginning of restoration or they expect to maybe have the entire parish. Honestly, I don't see how they're going to have the whole parish by September 29th, but hopefully they'll get it and start moving down that way. This is the gas station closest to Kathy's parents' house. You can see it's destroyed. The pumps are all down. Part of the building collapsed there. This is heading back. You'll see here on the left there's a house that blew off its foundation into the bayou there. It's sitting on top of a car. And folks, it's like this everywhere you go down there. I would estimate that 98 to 99% of homes had some damage in some way, shape, form, or fashion, whether it was just some gutters or turbine vents blown off or a few shingles here and there. Some houses fared very well. Many houses, as you'll see coming up here, completely lost their roofs. Some collapsed completely. It is just a big, big mess down there. But again, fortunately, we were able to get through without any problems. We were able to come through New Orleans, go the normal route that we normally go, going down and coming back. Did have to dodge a little debris here and there, power poles down in the road still. Again, the power company was just trying to do their assessments to begin with before they actually start the repair work. They were trying to get critical services back up, hospitals, the water company, telephone lines. Of the 82 cell towers that are in Terrebonne Parish, I think there were 8 that were completely destroyed and knocked down. All of them had damage to some extent or another. They're trying to get power back to them. Cell phone service is still rather spotty down there. You can see some people's driveways were blocked by the power lines, power poles. This is going into the city of Houma there. You can just see, I mean, just what a mess it is down there. We were able to, the following day on Thursday, go over to Kathy's aunt's house, help her get a tarp on her roof and patched up. Then we started going around checking on some of the church members, some that we could get to. We couldn't get to everybody. We didn't know where some of them lived. Most of the people that we talked to, though, said they either were okay, had what they needed, had their roofs patched up already. But they will be getting the word out that relief distribution will be happening Friday at the church building down there. See all those pine trees down there. We were able to help several people in Kathy's parents' neighborhood get tarps on their roof, help with cleanup, picking up shingles. Y'all, they can make a mountain of shingles with all the shingles that came off of roofs down there. And they could probably name it Mount Shingle if they wanted to. We had to stop and wait for traffic to pass so we could get around the power lines there. But this is what they're having to go through. And again, I know that many of you have experienced this, not trying to say, not that we haven't all, we all understand what they're going through, basically. Many people's homes are uninhabitable. They will need places to stay. You can see that one there. A lot of houses, like houses here, used sheet metal or tin roofs. So much tin was off, wrapped around power poles, in trees. This is in Kathy's mom and dad's neighborhood there. So you can just see the amount of destruction that happened. Just about every roof that we saw, again, had shingles down, had holes in the roof. Again, Kathy's parents were very fortunate in that they can still stay in the house after we got it patched. There's just going to be a lot of work and a lot of stuff to do still down there for months and months to come. The people were very industrious. They got out as soon as the storm was over. You can see started cleaning up. I just wanted to point this out right here. You'll notice I'll slow the video down. People were hanging their laundry on the down power lines to dry it off. Hopefully they move it before the power company comes back in. So that's just a little brief taste of what is going on down there. I do want to say how much I appreciate you as a congregation and the elders especially for allowing me to go down there, to be gone on Wednesday, to take that relief to them. Again, they appreciated it very much. My plan at this point is I am heading back down tomorrow just for the day. Since the roads are clear, I'm going to be taking more gallon jugs of water is really what we need now so that they can have water to wash up with and things like that until the power comes back on. They've got plenty of drinking water. Again, we took about 30 cases down there. FEMA is down there handing out drinking water right now. So I think they're good on drinking water, but the gallon jugs of water are really needed right now until the water gets flowing again into the houses. And I know it's difficult. I went to Walmart last night. There are none to be had there but gas cans. Plan up filling up as many gas cans as I can and taking those back down tomorrow so that they don't have to wait in those long lines. I don't know if I mentioned this already, but I did see a report this morning where someone was shot in line waiting for gas and died because of tempers flaring. You can imagine the stress that these people are under down there. They're kind of at their breaking point. It's hot. They're miserable. They're waiting in line for hours trying to get gas. And I know we can't do everything for everybody down there, but if I can get some more gas down to Kathy's parents so they can run the generators. We were able to bring them a window unit. And then Kathy's cousin, who lost everything in her house, had a window unit, said, well, we don't need it anymore, so gave it to Kathy's parents. So they've got 2 window units going in their house. It was moderately comfortable in there, especially at night. We were able to sleep pretty good the last night we were there without sweating to death. We did bring some box fans down. Again, I looked at Walmart yesterday. There are none to be had there. So the gallon jugs of water, gasoline in cans that you don't mind us taking down there and leaving at least temporarily. So I plan on driving down first thing in the morning, dropping all that off and turning around and coming back. They're cleaned up to the point and patched up to the point where there's really not much more we can do until power and water start coming back on. Insurance adjusters are starting to come into the area now and evaluate everything. So right now it's just kind of a waiting game as far as everything goes. Kathy's brother attends church up in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Their congregation is coordinating with 4 others. They are going to bring a load of supplies down on Friday as well, along with the 53-foot trailer that's coming in from disaster relief. And he will be down there with some of his church members to help hand out those supplies on Friday and to bring what they are bringing. So that's what we need right now. If you're able to donate a gas can and some gasoline that we can take down there, it would be much appreciated. I hate to ask because you've been so generous already, but that's what their need is right now, so we want to try to get it to them. Hopefully that will last them until the gas starts to flow and people get it, can get it more easily down there, and then they should be able to kind of take care of themselves from that point. But we're going to try to help them out as much as we can. Thank you for allowing me to present that. As I was thinking about all that, and I apologize, we didn't get back until about 2 o'clock yesterday, and I tried to sit down and do one of my regular PowerPoints, and I couldn't focus, y'all. But I do have a message that I want to share with you. If you've got your Bibles, and I hope you do, turn them to the book of 2 Corinthians. As I was putting this together to show you, this passage came to mind about generosity and about helping those in need, even when we may not have much of our own. Now, I know that we are very blessed materially here, physically. God has blessed all of us, and we all have an abundance if we stop and think about it. Sometimes we like to think that we don't have everything we want. Yeah, that may be true. We don't have everything we want, but we most assuredly have everything that we need. Many of you are retired and on fixed incomes. Others are still working and on a fixed income. You've got your own families, your own needs to take care of, yet you dug deep and gave to those in need. And it reminds me of what Paul wrote to the church in Corinth here in 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verses 1 through 5. We all know there was a famine going on in Jerusalem. Paul is trying to coordinate some relief effort, basically, kind of what we're doing here, what others are doing for those down there. And Paul is encouraging the church at Corinth to donate, to help their brothers and sisters, some that they didn't even know, probably had never met them before. You've met Kathy's parents, most of you, but you don't know those other people down there. You don't know those Christians, those church members. But because they were your brothers and sisters in Christ, and because they were in need, because they're suffering, you wanted to help because of your love for them and your love for Jesus. And that's what Paul says here in 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verses 1 through 5. He says, "We want you to know, brothers, about the grace of God that has been given among the churches of Macedonia. For in a severe test of affliction, their abundance of joy and their extreme poverty have overflowed in a wealth of generosity on their part. For they gave according to their means, as I can testify, and beyond their means of their own accord, begging us earnestly for the favor of taking part in the relief of the saints. And this, not as we expected, but they gave themselves first to the Lord, and then by the will of God to us." Paul here is bragging on these Macedonian Christians who were so poor, they really didn't have anything to give in the first place. But they loved their Christian brothers and sisters who they had never met, those that were suffering in Jerusalem. They loved them to the point where they wanted to help, and they did out of their own poverty. One of the commentaries says that Paul told the Corinthian believers that the Macedonian churches had given an offering for needy brethren in Jerusalem. They did this in spite of the great trial of affliction they themselves had endured. This region had suffered the ravages of civil war between Caesar and Pompey, between Brutus and Cassius and the triumvirs, and finally between Augustus and Antonius. They actually made a petition in Macedonia for a decrease of their burdens of taxation in the reign of Tiberius, and were granted the favor as a depleted area. They had suffered so much that the Roman government said, okay, y'all don't have to pay as much taxes as everybody else because we know you don't have it. And yet when word got to them that fellow Christians were in need, they said, we want to help. They had abundant joy despite their need. Their abundant liberality or generosity matched their joy, and in their giving, they followed the example of the widow who gave out of her poverty while others gave of their surplus, as we read in Mark chapter 12, verses 43 and 44. You might be asking, how can Paul write of the riches of their liberality? How could the Macedonians have wealth if they lived in deep poverty? Well, they gave from their ability, as is defined in chapter 8, verses 11 and 12. That is, their giving was in line with what their resources were, small, even though they may have been. But the Macedonians gave beyond their ability. They gave until it hurt. And for that reason, Paul used them as a model for the Corinthians when he discussed equality and heart-level giving. Listen to what he continues to write in 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 6 through 15. He says, "The point is this: whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly. Whoever sows bountifully will also reap bountifully. Each one must give as he has decided in his heart, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. And God is able to make all grace abound to you, so that having all sufficiency in all things at all times, you may abound in every good work. As it is written, he has distributed freely, he has given to the poor, his righteousness endures forever. He who supplies seed to the sower and bread for food will supply and multiply your seed for sowing and increase the harvest of your righteousness. You will be enriched in every way to be generous in every way, which through us will produce thanksgiving to God." Know this: for the ministry of this service is not only supplying the needs of the saints, but is also overflowing in many thanksgivings to God. By their approval of this service, they will glorify God because of your submission that comes from your confession of the gospel of Christ, and the generosity of your contribution for them and for all others, while they long for you and pray for you because of the surpassing grace of God upon you. Thanks be to God for his inexpressible gift. Paul here basically says, not only are you going to be helping supply their needs, but your example, what you do for them, is basically seed that you're planting and showing others, showing non-believers, non-Christians, how Christians are. And that might lead someone who is lost to be saved. I believe that that's what is happening here. What you have done, what you're willing to continue to do, and please understand, I'm not up here begging for more things, okay? If you can contribute to what I'm going to take tomorrow, great. If not, you've done so much already. But what you have done is going to show people down there, maybe people who have never heard of Jesus before, maybe they're not familiar with the Church of Christ, maybe whatever their situation might be, they're lost, but they're going to see the help that's being brought in. They're going to see and they're going to know that the West Milton Church of Christ and the Christians here sent this relief because you care, because you love, and that might prick their heart. And that might motivate them to say, well, I want to know more about this Christianity. I want to know what makes somebody give to somebody who they don't even know. I want to know what can change someone's heart like that. And we all know the answer to that. It's Jesus Christ and the sacrifice that he made for us. And so that is also my prayer, and I hope that you will pray for that as well. Not just that things would get better down there and that people would be safe, but that some souls can be reached through this effort, because that's what it's all about, y'all. It's all about demonstrating our faith. In James chapter 2, verses 14 through 18, James says, "What good is it, my brothers, if someone says he has faith but does not have works? Can that faith save him? If a brother or sister is poorly clothed and lacking in daily food, and one of you says to them, 'Go in peace, be warmed and filled,' without giving them the things needed for the body, what good is that? So also faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. But someone will say, 'You have faith and I have works. Show me your faith apart from your works, and I will show you my faith by my works.' You have demonstrated your faith by your works, by your contribution, by your love and your sacrifice to those people in Louisiana who are suffering. And they appreciate it, and I appreciate it. And I believe Jesus appreciates it, because we're doing what he wants us to do. We're loving others. We're showing our care and compassion for them because of the love and care and compassion that he showed for us. One final thought I want to share with you, and then we'll close. It's hard, I know, because a lot of times the thoughts come into the mind, well, there's going to be people down there that are going to take advantage. They're not going to need things, but they're going to take it anyway. Yeah, that's going to happen. It's already happening. I'm sure there are people who have what they need, but they're going to be greedy and take things. But I want to share with you, these are called the paradoxical commands. They're written by a man named Kent Keith. Sometimes they are attributed to Teresa of Calcutta, but she actually got them from Kent Keith. You've probably heard them before, but I want to share them with you because I think it's a good note to close on. He says, people are illogical, unreasonable, and self-centered. Love them anyway. If you do good, people will accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Do good anyway. If you are successful, you will win false friends and true enemies. Succeed anyway. The good you do today may be forgotten tomorrow. Do good anyway. Honesty and frankness make you vulnerable. Be honest and frank anyway. The biggest men and women with the biggest ideas can be shot down by the smallest men and women with the smallest ideas. Think big anyway. People favor underdogs but follow only top dogs. Fight for a few underdogs anyway. What you spend years building may be destroyed overnight. Build anyway. People really need help but may attack you if you do help them. Help people anyway. And then finally, give the world the best you have and you'll get kicked in the teeth. Give the world the best you have anyway. That's what Jesus tells us to do. We do good regardless. We help people regardless. We follow him regardless. Because we know that if we do, we have a reward waiting for us in heaven. If you're a Christian, if you've given your life to him, So this morning I encourage you, if you need to give your life to Jesus, if you're not a Christian, if you have not been baptized for the forgiveness of your sins, I encourage you, make it right this morning. Become part of this family of God that we just sang about a few minutes ago, that loves one another, that cares about one another. Even though we may never have met them, we know that we're all one family in God through His Son, Jesus Christ. Become part of that family. Be baptized for the forgiveness of your sins. If you've done that in the past and you've wandered away, maybe you've become unfaithful to God, come back. Come back while you still have the opportunity. We don't know when the next storm might be coming, that might come our way, that might take our roofs, that might send trees on our home, that take our lives. Be ready. Make your life right with God. If you're here this morning and you just need prayers for strength and for encouragement to live that Christian life, whatever your need would be, we invite you to come and respond as together we stand and as we sing.